What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about wood framing inside of Revit. I already have one video on this topic, and in this video I show you how to utilize the curtain wall system family in order to create wood framing for a wall. Now I'm just going to link that video up in the cards above so you can see it if you want, but in today's video I want to show you a different approach where instead of using the curtain wall system family and using mullions for your studs and for your beams, in this case you would use, well, actual Revit framing, and some might say this is a better approach, so that's why I wanted to create a whole kind of dedicated video to this. Now, before we jump into Revit, I would just like to take a moment to talk about today's video sponsor, and that is HSB CAD. Now, HSB CAD specializes in creating flexible software solutions for both Revit and AutoCAD in the off-site construction industry. They have over 30 years of experience, and they have helped over 500 companies reach peak performance by improving their efficiency, both in terms of design, but also in terms of actual manufacturing and on-site construction. Now today I just wanted to show you kind of a quick glimpse in how this looks inside of Revit. So here you can see I'm going to be showing you how to kind of set up an opening and how to frame an opening inside of Revit. So as you can see, you can create this opening style. Let's name it just window, and then you can edit all details. So in this case we have the upper detail or the top detail, and here we can kind of set up the beam. It's going to be kind of our header beam. It's larger. We can rotate it, lock it in place. Here we can add a beam code, HDR obviously for header, and then you can just go and set up the rest of the details. Now also for this, for example, in this case for this header on the sides, you can see we have 3 studs, and the first 2 are the bearing studs, and the third one isn't. So we can add this cut where we can show that header where it's supposed to be resting, so it's only resting on these 2 studs, and then you can do the same thing for the rest of the details. And then you can just, when you set everything up for that opening style, you can select your window family, you go to match opening, and then for each family you have all of the types laid out, and then you can just assign different opening styles. In this case we're just going to be assigning the same kind of win opening style for all types, and then when you save that you just have to go in and kind of regenerate that wall and the construction of that wall. And now if we just open this up, you can see that now we have that different opening style, and we have different framing. And also you can select individual details with these little arrows, and then you can change them, so it can be like an instance change. So it's a really cool approach to framing inside of Revit. It's really automated, and if you want to try it out, so just for my audience, HSB CAD has offered an exclusive access, so it's free exclusive access to their latest tool set. It came to the market for the very first time with its kind of first iteration quite recently. I've already talked about this, and already we gave access to 35 users. But because of the kind of large demand, they decided to expand that and give access to 50 users. So that's 50 free trials in total. You can sign up by following the link in the description just below this video or up in the cards above. Just make sure to enter a coupon code. So the coupon code is HSBCAD-Balkan Architect, and then you can sign up and get your kind of free exclusive access 30-day trial to this. So if you're interested, please check it out and tell me if this is something that interests you, so I'll make more videos about that. And now, without any further ado, let's jump into Revit. And here you can see I have this simple house that I've created, and we're just going to be concentrating on this little kind of segment that we have here, where we have kind of the entrance door, we have a few windows in the back, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So you have to do a few things to kind of set things up, and for this approach what we're going to be using, as I've mentioned in the beginning of the video, we're not going to be using a curtain wall system for generating our framing, but we are going to be using here on the structure tab, we're going to be using beams, and actually we're just going to be using a beam system. This makes things a lot more efficient. Now before we can use all of this, first we have to load in the correct beams, and for that let's go here to the beam tool, and you can see that we only have this steel beam. That's good if you want steel structures. In this case we want wooden structures, so let's load in a family. So here in the families you just want to scroll all the way down to structural framing, open that up, go to wood, and here I'm just going to be using the dimension lumber. Here you can see all of the types, and in some cases these might work out for you. In this particular case I'm going to be making some adjustments, so I'm just going to take this one, perhaps it's closest to what I want, and then I'm just going to click OK. Or actually, let's say that this is exactly what I want. So I just want to use this framing here. Well, the next step is to adjust the walls for this framing. So you hit the escape key a few times, you select the wall. Now this is the same wall that's kind of around the rest of the house. And here, as you can see, I've used the generic, basic or generic wall 190 millimeters. I'm just going to edit that one. I'm going to rename that, and instead of 190, I'm just going to change this to 180 millimeters, and then we can call this one, I don't know, like wood framing. Okay, then you want to go into structure, go into edit, and currently by default with these generic walls it's just one big layer, and you want to change that. So you want to add one layer above and then one layer below, and that layer that's below you want to move it outside of the core boundary, or you don't actually have to move it outside, you can just leave it there if you want, but in this case let's just move it down. Okay, once we have this, now it's time to set up the thicknesses. So the mid part is going to be 14 centimeters or 0.14 meters. I know I'm using a metric system for wood framing, which is used mostly in the US, where they use the imperial system. I'm butchering this, but I prefer the metric system, so I guess you'll have to suffer through this one. Okay, anyways, let's go here with a thickness of 0.002, so that's 2 centimeters. I'm just going to change this to centimeters in a moment now. This is 0.00 or 02. There we go. And then, because none of these are really the structure, the framing is the structure, so I'm just going to uncheck this structural material. This I'm going to move to thermal, because in between those studs you put some insulation, so I want that. Here this can be finish 2 or finish, let's use finish 1. Same thing goes here. And then let's set up the materials. So on the outside, I want to use some sort of plywood. So let's search for that. There we go, plywood sheeting. And then what you can do is just copy this name. So just Control-C to copy, and just paste it here, Control-V. And then you don't have to search for the material again. That's a cool little trick. Also for the thermal layer, let's see, I don't know, like thermal, do we have something? I don't know, let's try insulation. Yeah, we have this rigid insulation, let's go with that. And one thing here, I just hate this cut pattern, so I'm just going to change that to solid and then make it some colors. So let's make it very light yellow or something like that. Perhaps orangish. There we go. Apply. Okay. Okay. Apply. That's going to change the house a little bit. Click OK, and there we go. So now we have that new wall created. Now if I just go here to let's go to the floor plan 1, and then here if I zoom in and if I change the detail level to fine, you can see we have that plywood on the outside, and then we have that insulation on the inside. This is what we want to see. So the next step is going to be to start our framing. So what I like to do for framing is, because you want to have that framing in between these layers, so something that I like to do is go here to the reference plane and then try to attach it to that inside or in between the center and the outside plywood. Do the same thing here. Do I have it correctly? There we go. And then let's extend it here. Perfect. And then I'm just going to name these for now. So this is like going to be wall A, this is going to be wall B, and this is going to be wall C. Okay. So once we have this in place, then we can use the elevations. Perhaps that's the best option. So open up the elevation and then you can start working here. Now in some cases, certain elements might give you issues. So for example, for the roof, I don't want to see it here. So let's just hide that element. And also we can make it wireframe so we can kind of see the insides of this wall. Also here we can see the windows, so that's going to be a little bit annoying, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how to kind of work around that. So anyways, now it's time to start building our wall. So you go here to the beam system. Then you want to select the plane where you want to place it. So with the beam system, it's going to ask you to go to one of kind of the horizontal planes. So what you can do before that is you can go to set reference plane and set reference plane, there we go, and then set it by name to that reference plane A. That's for our wall A. Now if I go to the beam system, as you can see, now it's going to allow me to place it here, which is really good. Okay, so the next step is going to be to adjust this. So first here in the properties, you want to make sure that you have the beam type, which is that, in this case, the dimensional lumber. Perfect. And then for the layout rule, I'm going to keep it at fixed distances, just at 0.4, so 40 centimeters. And then we can now place it. So what I'm going to do is just place it here on that wall. Now, you might be thinking about locking this in place, and you don't want to do that. So you know how here we have this reference plane that's kind of following that outside of the wall, so I just want to move this into that. Also here, we don't want to go all the way to the top, we want to go here before the roof starts. And then we also want to go down a little bit, so we want to go down for our 0.9339. I think this is okay. Let me just switch the units to centimeters. It's going to be so much easier. Okay. So this is basically telling us that this is 3.9 centimeters because that's the thickness of that beam. So I want to have like a horizontal beam here and obviously a horizontal beam down here. So you want to kind of leave some space for that. And now if you want to be fancy about it, you can lock things in. So you can go here to the align dimension and then you can just come in here and lock all of these dimensions in, and that's just going to make sure that you don't, if you move the wall slightly, it's not going to be a terrible kind of situation. Here, let's place it from the outside. There we go. And on this side, let's move it in a little bit. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. Okay, so move it to here. There we go. Perfect. And then 3.9. Perfect. Can I make this into a dimension? There we go. Lock this in place. And now we have our beam system. Now, one important thing that you should think about here is the beam direction. So I like to use the beam direction for two reasons. The first one is, of course, to set the direction of the beam. Now, in this case, as you can see, this one has these two lines on top and below. That's basically indicating that the beam direction is this, horizontal. Now, we want it to be vertical. So what you want to do is you want to use the line and then create a vertical beam direction, obviously. But then also, I'm going to use that beam direction line to define where the position of the first stud is going to be located at. So in this case, I want it to be from the edge point, that should be 0.195. Do I have that correctly? Oh, this is centimeters, so that's 1.95. There we go. So that's actually why I chose that number, is because our beam is Oh, it's 38. Okay, then it's just 9. 1.9. Okay, no. 39, 1.95. Yeah, I was right the first time. So basically what I'm doing is I want to enter kind of half of that thickness of that first beam. Because this is the center line of that beam, so it's going to be kind of half on one side, half on the other side. That's why I'm entering half. If this doesn't make sense, don't worry, it will make sense in a moment. So you just have to hit finish here. It's going to generate that. Now it's going to look terrible, so first you want to switch this to fine level of detail so you can see your elements here. And then also let's get rid of these tags. So just go to filter, go to tags, or check none, tags, apply, okay, and then you just want to oh, they're already unpinned. Okay, then just delete. Perfect. Now here you can see that that first beam is here. It's not where I want it. It's not at the beginning of the beam, the stud. It's not at the beginning of the wall. So you can go here and you can go to justification. It says center, and you just change that to direction line. And remember, we've placed it here, so that's why that first stud is here in a corner. And that's exactly what they wanted to see. Okay, anyways, let's delete this. And now you can go to level 1. You can see those studs inside of that wall. And now here, obviously, we have some issues with the door. So what I like to do with the doors is I like to work in floor plan views, just because here if I go to the elevation, just with these regular Revit doors, you never know where is kind of the edge of the door, but in the floor plan, well, you can easily see that. So you just go here to this beam that we have here, go to copy, and then you can simply copy that, or actually when you copy it, grab it here, you can unconstrain it if you want, and then move it there. Perfect. Also, you can go to copy again from here to here. So now we can have a beam on each side of this door. Also, we can create horizontal beams. So if I just move to that east elevation, there we go. So in the east elevation, I'm just going to go here to the systems tab, or not the system, the structure tab. Go to the beam tool. And then let's create one horizontal beam. So the reference plane is reference plane A, and then you want to go from this one to this one, so that those are kind of the new ones. So let's go from here to here. Now you can see it looks a little bit weird, and if I go to the 3D view, okay, here it makes sense to make this wireframe. There we go. So you can see that this beam, it's actually vertical. Or perhaps, let me go back. So if you want to see it a bit better, I suggest first hiding the roof, but then also you can select the wall. You can select the wall, right click, go to override graphics and view by element, and then here you can just crank up its transparency. So I think this is the best way to see things. There we go. And then you can see this is kind of vertical. And let's say I want to have it horizontal for this particular case. You just go here to cross rotation and you just set 90. So it goes to this side. So that then should be minus 90, and then it's correct. And then you can go to level 1, run a quick section through this door. Double click on the head just to see that. There we go. And then you just select this and you can move it down like that. Perfect. And now if I go to the 3D view, now it's exactly there where it should be. Now we also have the issue of these two beams. So let me try, perhaps this will work. Trim extend to multiple elements. So let's try that. So I'm just going to go to modify, trim extend multiple elements. So let's select this side, and then there we go. Okay, that was quite painless. So that's done. So now we have that kind of top of the door, and then you can go back perhaps to the section, select this, go to copy, and then you should be able to copy it all the way up. So copy it all the way up here. Is it going to snap to that? There we go. So we have that, and then we can have like one on the bottom. So you can go to this, go to copy, and then just copy it all the way to the level. Perfect. Hit the escape key a few times, go to the 3D view, just double check what that looks like. So obviously this beam is currently now exactly where it shouldn't be, so below the door, and here it's quite short, so we have to fix this. So we can go back to our east elevation, and now in the east elevation we can just extend this all the way to the other side. Now when you do this manually, it tends to do something like this, which is terrible, so let's go back. So if that is proving to be an issue, what you can do is you can use the, let's try an align tool. So sometimes these are really tricky when it comes to using these beams. So for example, let's use that here. Okay, there we go. That was a little more painless. And in this case, let's say on this side, okay, we cannot see this beam here that's hidden in this wall. So let's right click, override graphics and view by element, and again let's do the same thing. So crank up the transparency. Okay, so we just want to go with the align tool and go just up to here. Perfect. And let's do the same thing on this one below, if I can just find it. There we go. Perfect. And just do the same thing on the other side. Now here I'm just using the face of this wall. Obviously you would, okay, I messed it up a little bit. There we go. So obviously you would find a different element, just kind of to make it a bit quicker, I'm just going to use that. And there we go, we have framing for this. Now if I go back to the east elevation, you can see that this beam is still going below the door, so that would kind of be an issue. So I can just come in here, I can go to split element. Let's try to use delete inner surface, inner part, and then we can kind of split that here and here. There we go. And then you can just use the, again, just use the align tool. AL is the shortcut. Just kind of align it on both sides. So let's go like that. There we go. And now we have framing for this particular wall. And then you can use that for everything. I mean, you can use this approach for the floors, you can use this for walls, you can use it for roofs. It does take some time, and also if you don't lock everything in place, which is really a lot of work to lock everything in place, when you move the door, it doesn't move with it. So it can be quite annoying. So what I would recommend you do is, once you kind of finalize the design, that's when you start this framing process, because otherwise if you're changing the design while framing it, it is going to give you a lot of issues and a lot of trouble. So I would avoid doing that as long as it's possible, of course. So there we go. I hope this was interesting. I hope this was informative. And tell me in the comment section below, please, if you have any of your own kind of solutions to wood framing in Revit. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.